Transfer portal in football, it's finally closed, at least until the end of the season. So let's catch up on the biggest headlines and our thoughts in the portal. One late development, Penny Boone, running back from Toledo that had transferred to Louisville. You're like, hey, Jawar Jordan, we got another game-changing running back. He left Louisville and he arrives at UCF. We've also got Jacoby Criswell doing the boomerang. You compete with Drake May in 2022. Drake May, obviously, third pick in the draft. He gets the job. You go to Arkansas for 2023. You don't get the Arkansas job. Hey, guess what? Mack Brown and Chip Lindsey would love to have you back here to throw you into the mix with Max Johnson and Connor Harrell. Danny, either one of those or any other late transfer portal transactions that stand out to you?
Yeah, the Jacoby Criswell one stuck out because it is that boomerang effect. We just saw Kyle Ford do that, right? He was USC, started his career there, then goes to UCLA, and then decides to go back to where it was. What I'm trying to figure out for some of these guys is that were they gone and weren't happy and kind of missed their guys? Or is this a case where Mack Brown, is maybe we've seen Max Johnson, man, we could get a little bit more out of Criswell. Like, hey, is it recruited back or is it a going back to comfort? And I don't know that answer, but I do think it's interesting, man, because you always warn people all the time the grass isn't always greener, and you were seeing this happen, pretty frequently, where you go back to sort of that security of what you've known and relationships you've built over time. Where I like to see it. I'm glad that they're able to go back because in some systems, in the years past, we might not have been able to see that. But now, like from a football standpoint, I'm wondering if he can have an impact and possibly be playing sooner rather than later.
I'm like super excited to see this UCF team. I mean, this is downhill, smash you, big backs, fast backs. You got RJ Harvey, you got Penny Boone, you got KJ Jefferson, who was listed on his, he got rung up for unpaid tickets or some nonsense. When he went back to Arkansas, it was listed at 260 something. Big dude. That's a lot of good backs coming downhill. Anytime Gus Malzahn's we're going to chuck it around a lot, I'm like, I'm out. Anytime we're hey, we're going to use our excellent wing T roots running game and throw off that and run our series, run our play action stuff, I'm in. You got me. And I like the guys they have to do what Gus Malzahn and that staff do best here in Orlando.
That's
that goes back to Auburn, by the way. When they were trying to Sean White stuff, I was immediately no.
Right. Well, I mean, it was wouldn't Kerryon Johnson, right? Wasn't that either one of maybe the 21 team, late era Gus Malzahn is there's not much of a passing game here, but you know what? He will carry on this whole offense on his back and carry him all the way to competing for an SEC West title at the end of the season.
I remember, and as a member of the recruiting media, you can't influence where a guy goes. But I was sitting on a plane with Sean White, who, when we were flying out to Oregon, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Auburn. I was like, man, that's a great school. In my head, I'm like, no! Do you see what the guys that Gus succeeds with look like? But you can't say anything, right? Because that's you can't. So anyway.
I saw the Criswell edition. I read it as neither one of those guys has grabbed the job. And so you're throwing another throwing another wild card in there, just seeing what sticks.
Let me ask you as a Carolina guy,
okay,
how close is this to the Jameis Winston Coker situation? Because remember, there were early reports that Criswell was competing with Drake May, and they were neck and neck for a little bit. Now, obviously, I think that's kind of BS, but was there anything to that? Does he have a real shot to win this job?
I think that, you would know, but Criswell's got tools.
I agree.
Yeah, I think he can be really impressive. I think that it might be a performance thing. And so you're bringing him back, and it'll be a new offensive coordinator than the last time he was there. It'll be a very different offense in terms of what they're trying to accomplish, especially when you're stepping in, Amarion Hampton's, the star that they have decided to invest in on the offense. So What can you be able to offer to that competition? And maybe for Jacoby, there is to your point, Danny, there is a little bit of he will be happy, being back in Chapel Hill, a place where he spent a couple years. So
and then there's also the aspect of, wait, I came to Arkansas to start. Who's this Taylor Green kid coming in here all of a sudden? Like, whoa, I didn't know that was happening. And then you don't beat him out.
Bobby Petrino gets hired, and maybe he meshed with Petrino as well. So a lot of changes. I think that this is I think that Jacoby Criswell probably did not have what would you say we did the Jacob Coker, Jameis Winston? You would say that like they tried to make it a competition, but
it was a fake competition.
Fake competition.
There were days where Coker was actually pretty damn good, and like I think they wanted Jameis to take it more seriously every day. Like don't throw the bubble screen passes with your left hand just because you're that freakishly talented. Like so. But also, like Coker did win a national title, and I think did he get drafted?
I don't think so.
He won
a national title.
It wasn't insanely fake. We knew who was going to win the competition if Jameis took it seriously every day.
Right. I think that with Drake being young, first time starter, you might have had some of that for sure. And Jacoby's got enough there to be able to make it a competition. But man, this is it's a North Carolina quarterback battle that will be probably ongoing till the first week of the season. And I've got no clue on who I would pick. I mean, do y'all have any? Do you want to throw a little put your chips behind any one of these three?
I would say it's Max Johnson because of volume. He's played a lot of football, and usually going to go with the experienced guy that and like trust that. Let's see what we got first. Let's make sure we give us a chance. We don't want somebody to go out there and throw 2 or 3 picks and put us in trouble. So my guess would be Max.
Who do they open with? Like who's on the early season schedule?
They don't do that.
Minnesota on the road. Thursday night.
They'll go with the veteran. I think they'll definitely go with somebody who's played in that spotlight.
Yeah, Thursday night, week 1 on the road at Minnesota.
If it doesn't go well, then I think you move to the younger kid or Criswell because like they'll be favored over Charlotte. They'll be favored over UNC Central. They'll be favored over James Madison. They'll be favored at Duke. They'll be favored hosting Pitt. I think that's a nice little run up through early October to work somebody else in with some game action.
I'll say it's either Harrell or Criswell.
Ooh.
I think
not hearing great return, not hearing great feedback.
No, I think that the surprise has been that, remember, we'll see what happens when Criswell gets there. I think the surprise was that Max Johnson did not grab the job this spring.
Right.
I think that is the surprise that has some people unsettled. I sometimes go sunny side on this. Is like, well, it's good. At least you've got somebody else who's pushing, right? But if you're going out to get a third guy as well, we'll see.
I don't know. And this is not a knock against Max, but have we seen any like numbers on guys that have played at 3 schools? Like, I mean, there's something about like, okay,
so
we're getting it. Like
JT Daniels had an okay season at Rice.
I mean, but that was going down. That was going to easier competition, right?
Yeah. It was
like Keaton Slovis, right? He played at 3 and I don't know.
It's mixed.
Wait, Slovis played 3?
Yeah, did he start at USC?
And BYU.
Oh, Slovis. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, there aren't many of them, but that's why I don't know if there's ever been like a great example of like, hey, third time was the charm. I don't know if we see many of those.
Yeah, I do think it says something that Carolina took Criswell back. Like, you don't take a guy back who was a bad locker room fit, and you don't take a guy back who you think totally sucks.
So
yeah,
we'll see. How about this? On Monday, you want to do? Well, I don't want to do like big winners and losers for the transfer portal because there just wasn't enough. How about on Monday? Let's each bring our most significant moves. You like that?
From the spring?
Just from the spring. Like on Monday, we'll do our final transfer portal spring wrap, and we'll do it by highlighting specific moves, which you think are the most specific one. Like, what do you think are the most impactful ones, the ones that drew your attention, 3 to 5 each or something like that. And I feel like that'll be a good way to look at it, just because there was not as much activity, definitely not as much activity as there was in the winter window, and then really maybe not even as much activity as some may have expected.
The one guy to watch today is Demonic Williams.
Yeah.
From TCU. Today's kind of the decision day.
Do you see his video at LSU? He posted. So he posted like some restaurant, and you know how at the clubs they bring out the signs and the sparklers. It was a restaurant. It wasn't a club, but like the bright lights and the sign, and it said "Welcome to Baton Rouge." Dominic like said, "Hey, here you go," and he retweeted, had the eyeball emojis. They'll like go like, I don't know. It was interesting. I think that was his last visit, right? Wasn't that his final one?
Oh, follow the visits.
And his I don't know what the official term here is. Advisor, handler, agent, position, like private.
His camp. His camp.
Yeah, his camp posted a photo today that Twitter believes is Oklahoma City in the background.
Ooh,
so
interesting.
Yeah. And
maybe that was his first visit. His first visit was Oklahoma. So
I mean, dude, Toya going back to the portal at UCLA, it made these other guys a lot of money. I mean, I think there's like several $1 million or really close to it D tackles in this cycle, because there are some teams that are just absolutely desperate.